Well, chances are if you're watching this, I've got nothing to post. So I thought it's about time we introduce another project car on the channel to keep me busy, because as if I'm not busy enough anyway. But I'm sort of at a standstill with the race car. I'm still waiting for the manifold at this stage. It should be here when you watch this, probably like a week, hopefully, from this video. But then I still got to send it away to get it ceramic coated, along with the turbo rehousing and the wastegate exhaust part. So yeah, bit of a standstill with this car. The wagon is pretty much ready to go. I just haven't had a chance to take it out for a drive, but hopefully that's happening soon. Potentially, maybe the video after this. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what happens, but that's sitting there ready to go. So yeah, it sort of leaves me in this position where I like posting every week, and a lot of you people like watching every week. So yeah, I thought we'd bring in this new car on the channel. It's probably a good project to do over summer, because I can do a bit after work as well. Yeah, during the winter it's a bit hard to get motivated after work because it's so bloody cold and gets dark quick. So that's probably the plan, to get cracking into it over summer. I've got a few other things in the works, but that's for later on. You'll probably find about that eventually. I do have a fair few bits already sitting in the shed here for it. I just haven't had the chance to do anything to it. Yeah, bloody these jump boxes take all my time. So at least once I get the ball rolling and make a start on this car, I should be able to get it happening relatively quickly. So I am looking forward to it, because they are honestly neck and neck between what's my favorite between this car and one of these cars. So anyway, we'll back it in the shed and we'll have a look at it. It doesn't quite fit in the shed here, but here it is. This is my 1994 R33 Nissan Skyline. I used to own one of these nearly probably 8 years ago. I had it for a couple of years. It was the exact same color, and I absolutely loved it. It was probably one of my favouriteest cars that I've ever owned. So when the opportunity came up to buy this, I couldn't turn it down. So I've owned this since 2018. The Ks are irrelevant because they're generally tampered with, but I paid $2,000 for it. Unfortunately, it's a non-turboed auto, which means it's 4-stud, but that's fine, because at the time when I bought this, the prices were just starting to rise, and now they're just out of control. So yeah, the fact that I paid $2,000 for this is a bargain. It got it on the road, and it's been sitting here ever since. I've probably put like 3 tanks of fuel through it, if that, and it's probably cost me $2,500 in rego, or $2,200 in rego. So expensive motoring so far, and probably only going to get worse, but it is what it is. So I probably will be doing like some little clickbaity thumbnail, because I know obviously I'm a full drive YouTube channel, but that's mainly because full drive is what I've just been doing the last couple of years. So as you would have seen, I do ride motorbikes, and I'm right into drifting and Japanese, 90s Japanese cars. So although it won't take over the channel, it still will be a part of the channel. So I know a lot of people probably aren't interested in it, which is fine. Like, the video probably won't get that many views, but that's cool. It would be nice to expand the channel into different areas, and then it just gives me the option. I've got a few different cars here to play around with. So there is some local stuff. There's a local hill climb track, and there's, when things are up and running, there's usually like one drift event a month. So that gives me more chance to like maybe make a bit more content with the drifting. Obviously with racing at the moment, there's only one race a year, and that's, or one race that I'll do a year. And that's, yeah, obviously been postponed, and it's been a stuff around at the moment. So the drifting's no different. It's been postponed and things like that, but at least if there's one a month or one every 6 weeks, it gives me more of an opportunity to use the car. And yeah, I can't get enough of driving this thing. When you sit in it, it just feels like home. yeah, the 90s Japanese cars, some of them were just so far ahead of the rest of the car market in that era. And yeah, they're stylish, like nice motors, not specifically the NA Auto, but you know, if you're talking GDR, twin turbo, double overhead cam, yeah, four-wheel steer, four-wheel drive, like all this stuff. Yeah, just brilliant technology, and they're a brilliant car. I haven't driven it in a little while. The main reason I haven't driven it is because just as a bit of a laugh, probably a couple of years ago now, it's got like this massive rear muffler in it out the back, like just huge muffler. And I cut it off because I thought it'd be funny, and it just sounds atrocious. So I cut it off because we're going to go race the hill climbs, and then I never went and raced it. And then now I don't drive it because it's seriously horrible to drive. We'll fire it up. So as you can tell, it sounds horrible. It sounds like a bloody VN Buick. And yeah, I just literally cut the muffler out and welded 2 stainless tips on it. Just, I don't know, it was funny at the time. It still is funny, but yeah, I've been meaning to go into Scotty at Chigwell Street and just get him to put a normal muffler in there so I can drive it. Because yeah, it's just, I've driven it a few times because I've had to, and like, you just drive with my head in shame. I nearly need to bang a P plate up just so it looks half decent, but yeah. I will see if I can find some old videos of my old car. Yeah, get up a bit of mischief in that thing, and a few drifting clips. I'll put them in now. Maybe, hopefully I can find something. I'll have to dig back through my stuff, so I'll chuck them in now. So like I said, non-turboed RB25, brilliant engine, absolutely brilliant motor. I love these. So yeah, non-turbo motor, they're slightly different to the turbo motors, but that's fine. But it's all relatively stock. Got a hectic pod filter here, probably adds 50 horsepower. So it goes like a bat out of hell with the pod filter on it. All right, so we'll get stuck into what my plans are with the car. I'm actually looking forward to this because I could probably progress it a bit faster than the four-wheel drives because it's so much cheaper. For example, to put this winch on the front of this car with the batteries, the alternator, the rope, all that sort of stuff, to set up this winch is about 10 grand just for the winch. If I threw 10 grand at this, it would transform the car. So I'm expecting maybe around over time, maybe 25 grand. If I invest something around that into this car, it will be a bloody awesome car. And still, if I was to sell it, which I never will, I'm a hoarder, I would never sell my cars. But if I was to sell it, I know chances are I probably won't even lose money on it at the way the market's going at the moment. But anyway, that's beside the point. So for starters, what we're going to do, is when I bought the car, I got a record to import a turbo motor with low Ks and a 5-speed gearbox to go with it, and the whole manual conversion. And what I did with the motor, I stripped it down. I took it into Wayne at Davey Street Head Shed in Morwell. He's had it for a little while, but that's mainly because I haven't really progressed anything with him. So, and I've changed my mind a few times. So the motor's been sitting there for a little while, but the motor is he's sorted out the crank. They put an extended collar on the crank for the oil pump drive. I've got oil pump gears going in it, valve springs for the head. I only just recently made this call, but I'll be doing forged rods and pistons in it, and different cams, maybe some drop-in cams, 264s probably, maybe not 272s, 264s probably, and things of the like. So it'll be a bloody weapon of a motor. So my aim for the motor is about, I would like to see 350 to 400 kilowatts on the dyno, on the hub dyno that is. Somewhere around that I'd be happy, and I know with the forge build and the things going in it, yeah, it'll just last forever. So I'll probably go see him soon actually, once I get this crap box out of here and I'll get on top of a couple other things. I'll go and see him and then work with getting this motor back together. So I'm just going to get him to assemble it because he knows what he's doing, and I know I'm just going to flog the piss out of this motor, and I want it to be perfect. So he's got, yeah, obviously his engine building room and things like that, so dust free. You know, in here there's dust and crap everywhere, so I don't want to assemble the motor here or do anything like that. So yeah, hopefully I'll just pick it up off him, and then I'll have it sitting here ready to go in. Now I did buy a 5-speed with the motor, like I said, just the factory Nissan 5-speed. In my last car, I did have, which I didn't really know, but when I got rid of the car, the bloke pulled the gearbox down and there was missing teeth off gears and things like that. So yeah, I did buy the 5-speed and I thought I'll just and ahhing. I ended up selling the 5-speed off, and I bought a gearbox out of a 350Z. They're a 6-speed. And then now I'm sort of thinking I might sell that and just buy a brand new one from Nissan. So they're called a CD009. The 9's for like the 9th version of that. Now they're up to A, so it goes 9 and then A, so it's a CD00A, and you can still buy them brand new from Nissan at a pretty reasonable price for what the market's doing now. It's like 3.2 or something for a brand new gearbox. So I'll probably do that. That gives you 6-speed. In the 6-speed, the 5th is actually 1:1, and because of the different gear ratios, you have to run a different gear set in the diff. So I actually did buy a 4.1 diff, which is what the factory turbos came with, but the auto has a 3.5 in it, and I'm pretty sure it's a 3.5 or a 3.7 is what they recommend with the 6-speed. So that's going to be cool. I already have the diff and that for it. I've got a full 5-stud conversion off a turbo car, so I can get rid of these 4 studs, put the 5 studs on, bigger brakes, and like rebuild the calipers, things like that. New wheel bearings, ball joints, bushes, yeah, all that sort of stuff. When I pull the motor out, I will drop the steering, the K-frame out underneath, and you, when you change, this is really going to be confusing, but when you change the knuckles, they cut and shut them, or you can buy other knuckles where the pivot point for the turning is further into the center, so therefore it gets better turning lock, but then it can over center your rod ends and things like that. So what I'm going to do is you cut out the steering rack mount and move the whole steering rack further forward to the front of the car, so that stops the steering binding up and things like that. But I'll be doing all this on the channel, but this might be a bit confusing. I'll probably take it to Stephen at Custom and Classic Revival, where I took the wagon, and I want to get the car repainted because the clear's peeling on the roof and things like it's a bit faded. I don't like leaving it out in the weather. That's another thing that's coming up. I'm hopefully going to have somewhere to put this. So yeah, I want it all resprayed when the motor's out, whether they paint the engine bay or detail it or whatever. That's another story. But I want this car like looking pretty nice. Probably running like a 6-boost manifold and the same turbo that's on my going to my race car, probably something around that, like the Hyper-Gear ATR 43. So I'm looking forward to that. The forward plenum, things like that, run, you know, clean it all up, make it a nice, pretty engine bay. So the goal with this car, the last one I owned was a pig to drive. It was horrible. So the clutch was heavy. It had a welded diff, you know, like a bucket seat in it. It wasn't very comfortable. The button clutch in it was actually a real prick to drive. So when I let, you know, Emily sort of struggled to drive it a little bit, but the idea with this car, not that she'll probably drive this car that often, but the idea with this car is I want her to be able to get in it and drive it. So, you know, I'm going to put more thought into the coilover setup and the spring rates, the clutch setup. I want it nice to drive. I put a comfier seat in it. I do actually have a ARB air locker I bought for it. So the rear diff in this is an R200, and I'm pretty sure they're like in Navara fronts and things like that. So ARB actually do an air locker for R200. I've just got to figure out, the only thing I've got to figure out pretty much is in these diffs, they've got a half shaft either side that clip in with like a C-clip, but the ARB locker doesn't have the grooves in the side gear for the C-clips to clip into. So I've got to find a way to retain the stub axles in the diff, but that shouldn't be too hard. Hopefully it all fits in, the splines are the same. So I'm looking forward to having an air locker in the back. So just when you're parking it and driving and things like that, it just drives normal. And then when you want to party, you flick the magic button and it's party time. So my last one had a roll cage, a half cage in it, because you needed it to take passengers on the track. If you take a drifting, if you wanted passengers, you had to have like a half cage. So I got Scotty at Chiggerell Street and he made me up a cage. It was like pristine cage, beautiful half cage. So I'm gonna do the same to this. Don't mind the bucket seat. Jesse's flogged it for his car because Jesse's got the same. He's got a 33. He's flogged it for his car, so that's not even bolted in. So yeah, the plan is to have a half cage in here. You can get CAMS approved bolt-in ones. The one that I had in my last one was a full weld in, but I'll probably go bolt-in this time. There's a Mob AGI, I think they're called, do like a bolt-in half cage. I even do bolt-in full cage, but I'm not pulling the dash out. So yeah, a lot of work to do. I'm going to be running the Haltech, probably 2,500. Normal stuff, wideband boost controller. With the 2,500, you can have drive-by-wire. So I'll be running the electronic throttle. I'm pretty sure the 350Z throttle pedal bolts in, and then you just need the throttle body. So that's going to be sick. And the bonus with that is not only can you map against it, have different throttle rates and things like that. It helps with all sorts taken off. You know, you can have whatever. You can do so much stuff with electronic throttle. You can also do cruise control with the Haltech 2,500. So I'm looking forward to have cruise control in this. And yeah, just general stuff like, I don't know, you can have all different maps, different boost curves, different throttle curves. You know, I want to set up like flat shifting, so you don't have to let off the throttle to shift. It goes off like a clutch switch or timer, and you can just bang through the gears without having to take your foot off the throttle. So just fun stuff like that. I'll be doing a Haltech dash, same as what's in the race car. But I'll be taking the factory cluster out, no factory cluster, and you can actually get like a plastic mold, and it houses like the Haltech dash in the Skyline plastic mold. So it fits in there clean, no modification, just bang it in. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And the other thing is I'll probably have to put a GPS speedo in it, which is what this has got. Haltech do that too, because the speedo drive in these comes from the gearbox, but the 350Z gearbox doesn't have provisions for a speedo, because the 350Zs get it from the rear diff, I'm pretty sure, or rear axles, one or the other. So have to work out a speedo input for that, which is not really that hard. I'll probably do like a flex fuel setup. So again, Haltech do that. It's a ethanol sensor that goes in your return line, and it senses the amount of ethanol that's in your fuel. And then essentially you can have, like you do a 98 tune, then you do the E85 tune, and then you do like a 40 tune or whatever they call it, because the E85, 85 stands for 85% ethanol. So yeah, then pretty much you can blend it all in between the 98 and the E85, so you can put whatever fuel you want in it, 98 or E85, and obviously with varying power levels. So E85, you can get way more power out of it, you can put way more timing into it, it's way safer to put more boost into it. So my last one was on E85, brilliant fuel, so I'm looking forward to that, but I don't want the, it was sort of annoying always having to go to the one servo for fuel, and the price of E85 now is like ridiculous for what it is. So flex fuel is a good option because I can just drive around a 98, but if I go drifting or racing or whatever, you can just like run it empty or whatever and then put E85 in it, and then you're ready to go with the party tune. So yeah, that's the new car that's going to be making its way onto the channel hopefully soon. Like I said, I'm just doing this mainly because I've got no content this week, but I will do like an official intro when I make a start on this build, and hopefully what my sort of plan is to bank up a few episodes and then release them weekly like I normally do, but maybe like on a different night. So hopefully I can still have like 4-wheel drive content on the Thursday, and then I might drop one of these on a Tuesday. I don't know, depending on how I go and how fast things progress. And there's something else in the works as well, which will affect that too. But that's sort of the plan. So maybe 2 videos a week for a while, because yeah, like I said, I know everyone's not going to watch this, but I still want people to hang around on the channel. I don't want to steer them away. And yeah, it's not going to like take over the channel. It's just broadening my videos into other things that I enjoy. So hopefully even people that don't really like these cars or haven't really looked into them, you might get a kick out of it. I'm going to try and do a few different things like the ARB locker and the 6-speed conversion and a few other things, a few fabricating jobs. So you might get a bit of a kick out of it. I'm always going to try and give out as much information as I know, just to make it interesting for you guys. I don't just want you to watch me do something. I would rather tell you or let you know how to do it, or the best way that I would do it. That way you can at least learn something while you're watching. So there's a lot of videos that I watch that get a bit boring. You're just watching someone swinging spanners with no real explanation. So yeah, I'm going to aim to sort of, same as I do with these cars, walk through everything and yeah, let you know what the go is. All right, since you're stuck around this long, I'll show you. I know it doesn't do a burnout, but I'll try to do one anyway. We'll see if we can back it somewhere and do a skid. How's this? It's got a, when I get there, reverse beeper. What a weapon. The sucks, it only goes to, you can only put it in 2nd gear and then it automatically goes to 1st, but it doesn't hold 1st for very long, and it doesn't have the power to do burnout in 2nd. So it has power and snow mode. Of course we want it in power, so we'll see if we can do something. What a nugget. What a nugget. It just goes straight into 2nd and you can't get it going. So that's as good as you're going to get for now, but when it makes 400 kilowatts, you betcha we'll be blowing a set of tyres of it. So that's that. This is the car. That's a rough plan. Hopefully we'll get into it in the next few months. So you'll see this on the channel in a few months. If you have watched till the end, yeah, you're the appreciated ones. This video probably wasn't really that good, so it is what it is. We'll see you on the next one.